had zero. Like, nobody in my family are business owners. Like, it was, I'm miserable at what I'm doing, so I had to do something different. And I'd fallen in love with training at that point. So I was like, do you want to continue to be miserable? But the only thing that I had set my mind on that side of things was, I always said to myself, the minute you wake up in the morning and say, I don't want to go to work, is the day you have to quit. Here we go. So, podcast number 4,622.
110.
Or 110. That was pretty close.
That's actually accurate.
Yeah, yep. There you go.
109 was posted yesterday.
There it is. Yes. Beautiful. Well, today, let's, I guess,
we need to reintroduce
ourselves again, right?
Well, we have to reintroduce Pat because it's been so long.
Yeah. He has a new haircut and stuff.
I know.
It's looking good. Put the hat back on. But yeah, Pat's back. And then I'm back, and Paige is back.
Paige, yeah.
Yeah, the important one. So yeah, entrepreneurship. That's what we're going to talk about today. So yeah, take it away.
Wow. Start with a recap of our journey. How did we go from personal trainers to entrepreneurs?
I mean, I would definitely say we're more still on the path of becoming entrepreneurs. I wouldn't fully categorize us as 100% one just yet, but every step that we go forward takes us there.
What is your definition of entrepreneur?
So more of, I heard it in a different podcast or something I watched on YouTube, that basically where we're at right now is more business ownership, because we're still tied to a lot of the day-to-day. But once we pull ourselves from the day-to-day and the ship can still keep going forward, still staying afloat.
Entrepreneurship?
Yeah. There you go. It has a nice flag with it. We can be Buccaneers on it and everything. But
Pirates.
But either way, once it can go on its own and we can fully step back and watch it grow itself, then that becomes more of the entrepreneur area of life. But right now we're still stuck in a job of doing a day-to-day. But we're slowly perfecting the systems and finding the right people to fill our shoes on those day-to-day sections and everything like that as we are perfecting everything.
I feel like we're right on the cusp of that, though.
Right.
Like within the next 6 months.
Oh, by the end of this year, for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was thinking about it because we started with one business as 3 personal trainers, all working on the floor training clients with one other employee or coach, which was
initially I would say we were actually 3 businesses in one building.
Right.
Yeah, if you want to get down to it.
Because we did start out that way, that we were all 1099s, we were all independent contractors working together. What are you looking for?
Yeah.
Probably one of a quote.
So we were all started out that direction, and then we paid our dues into a parent LLC that then paid for the overhead of the company, and then we switched everything to actually being a full regulated LLC, to where we could manage the service product a little bit better as we went forward.
What year did that all start? When did the decision to make the change?
2017 is when we started on this journey, and we were still independent contractors 2017 and 2018. When January 2019 came along, everybody turned into W-2 employees of the parent LLC, and so now we're all under one LLC. So now it was a more defined company that way. And then of course COVID hit while going through all that, so that made the PPP loan super fun to deal with.
Yeah.
But then we made it through all that, and we've been running it that way ever since. And I think it's great that we did it that way, because we are a people business and we are service-based business, and per law we can't really tell a contractor how to do his craft or her craft or their craft. And in this way, we can regulate how it's done and administer a more holistic product.
Yeah. But from a day-to-day perspective, it was 4 trainers. 3 of them were us. We were training 45 to 50 clients per week. We were both probably right around 20 to 30.
Mm-hmm.
It was more so towards the 30 number.
Yep.
You did come off the floor first before all of us, but I think that was what makes the 3 of us unique is we all had this goal, but we couldn't do everything at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So we slowly just replaced, one of ourselves in the floor here, and then now going from training 75 to 80% of the clientele to now serving over 400 people, almost to 400 clients now, and we're training almost none of them. We have 12-ish team members, coaches across the board, and think about the evolution of that though. Everything we've gone through.
See, for me, that is entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It's not the end goal. I think it's the catalyst. It's what starts it all. The entrepreneurship is the idea. It's coming up with the idea. And then
Executing.
placing the risk on ourselves and any individual that goes into business is the entrepreneur. And then it's a matter of what level of business do you get to? Are you a business owner where you're owner operator, or are you a business owner that sets up systems to a place where you are running the systems and the systems run the business? And so for me, I believe entrepreneurship is the catalyst as well. It's like, okay, I have an idea. Now I'm going to put this idea into action, take a shitload of risk, which is scary, and then
It's calculated.
go.
Yeah, but no one calculates pandemic. That one was not calculated.
No, that was definitely out of all the calculations, but I mean, we fared through it pretty well.
Yeah.
Took a couple of kicks on the chin.
Took a couple calculated risks while in the pandemic as well.
Yeah.
So the definition for entrepreneurship, the activity of setting up a business or businesses taking on financial risk in the hope of profit. In the hope of profit.
In hope.
There you go.
Is that what it says? In hope.
In the hope of profit. Yeah.
Ouch.
Dang, Lester, there's not much belief in it.
No, like way to set us down. Way to bring the bar really freaking low, dictionary.
What's the fact? What percent of small businesses or entrepreneurs fail within the first 3 to 5 years?
It's like 80%.
Only 1 in 5 survive, right?
Yeah, it's closer
Within
up
the first
to
5 years, but then
Past
it's
that?
something like 90% of small businesses fade away over time.
right, because it exponentiates after that. And out of the 52 million whatever small businesses out there, it's less than 20% of them actually show profitability.
Yeah.
So because of the way that they're run, or with the systems that they have, or the lack of knowledge, or the tax structure that they're trying to develop. But again, it's one of those that you gotta, have money to make money, and to do that, you have to show the government that you're making money to then show that you have the money to make more money. So it's a nice little tax game that you have to play, but at the same time, you're trying not to pay as much taxes. So the idea of getting close to zero at the end of the year on your profit and loss is what a lot of people do. But the myth behind that is, if you're always shooting for zero, sometimes you'll make the mistake of trying to get a tax write-off to, like, oh, I need a tax write-off. Let me go ahead and buy a $100,000 car for the tax write-off. But
The nice car.
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that.
some people, I just heard a story the other day that some guy bought a second Maserati just so that he'd have the tax write-off to then not pay taxes. But then that's really funny doing that. So you spent $100,000 instead of paying the incremental portion of that, which would have been closer to 15%, for just paying into taxes, and then you would have been able to keep the other in your pocket instead of putting it into a depreciating asset. So it's kind of like pick your battles on that one, and the goal is to get close to zero. Doesn't mean you always have to hit it or be under it, but it's just to pay the least amount of taxes in the correct amount and in the correct way.
Yeah.
And that's where I do a lot of learning, with the 660-page behemoth of a book.
Mm-hmm.
Tax code 197.
It's like, what the hell are you talking about, Pat? I'm like, well, this is what I learned. This is what I can tell you.
You gotta explain that now.
I still don't even know if I'm supposed to explain 197.
Yes, please, let's hear
Basically, when you talk to me, it's gibberish.
it.
So you're trying to talk to me about taxes, and it's just it takes me a while to sit on it and learn.
Well, let's go further back on that, and let's remember our history. When you first got into this, tell that story.
I was a 1099 still. I did my taxes at the end of the year for the first time ever, which I was a ball of anxiety. I'm like, how does this work? And I owed like $2,500 or a little over $2,000 to the federal government for my taxes, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's a big hit. I obviously wasn't making very much money. I was still trying to support myself, just got out of school, and so then I sat down with you, started working with your tax accountant, and got my taxes down to like $1,000 for that year of what I owed.
Yeah, more than half dropped off.
Yeah, more than
because
half.
of learning what you can write off and what you can use, and all in the sense of, again, you're following the right tax strategy of you don't have to get to the point where you're not paying anything because you want to show that you're making money, but you also don't want to overpay either. So, and do that as an individual, and now do it for multiple companies, and it gets confusing real fast.
You also learn really quickly that that may or may not be your cup of tea.
Right.
And for Mike and or coffee. I don't want to speak for you, but I just want to say that's probably not your cup of tea that you want to do on a day-to-day basis.
No.
No.
Couldn't be ours.
No. I love learning about it and applying it when I need to, but it's not something I electively like, oh, I can't wait to read the tax book today.
If I want to go to sleep,
Yeah.
it's like golf or Colleen on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. Is that like the 50th time you've asked us to fill out a personal finance?
The bane of my existence.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
She was the last one.
Yeah.
You know the answers.
yeah, but it definitely changes every 6 months or whatever. But it all comes together on the fact that there's, in any entrepreneur's life, or any business owner's life, there's different avenues that we all have to watch out for. And a lot of what you two take care of is the front facing, like what's in front of us to save us money.
Yeah.
Well, we also have to pay attention to what's, on the back end of things, like how do we save money on the back end so we're not overspending on something? Is this software management system too expensive? Are we doing the right things with taxes? Well, so 2/3 of it is taking care of the front end, 1/3 is taking care of all the background work. And
Well, that's all broken into a third.
Yeah.
I'm not great on numbers.
Birds everywhere.
Okay, so
Tree
aside
trees.
from the financial aspect, obviously being an entrepreneur comes with great risks, but also hopefully
Great responsibility.
great responsibility, but hopefully great reward one
Can
day.
we just do the Spider-Man quote for this one?
What is it?
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is that Spider-Man?
That's Uncle Ben. Not the sauce. Is that rice or sauce?
Uncle Ben is.
Uncle Ben is rice.
It's close enough.
But either way,
The sauce that goes with the rice.
yeah.
It's unique.
So
Yeah,
there's
comes great risk, comes great responsibility, and there's, I think, a lot of benefits of being an entrepreneur from a tax standpoint. I think a big myth is that the tax code is written to steal money from Americans and steal money from all these people, which
But we also complain about potholes when the potholes. No,
I don't know.
that's tax money.
We're paying for that. Yeah, but in the same sense, though, if you read and understand the tax code and use it to your benefit, being an entrepreneur, creating jobs, providing a service, doing things for other people, you get those tax cuts and those tax breaks, and you can use it to your advantage. I think a lot of people don't want to read and don't want to understand it, and so because it's so scary, daunting, and confusing, that might as well go against it, right? This is stupid.
It literally is the government's playbook on how to utilize your money correctly.
Yeah. And it's not all bad.
Right. Like, for example, I was talking to another business owner about all his stuff that is going on, and he owed a good chunk of money to the IRS. I said, I think you need to go back and look at this strategy, do this, and do this. And with those three things that were already in the tax code, and by no means am I a tax specialist, strategist, or anything like that. I just passed along the knowledge that I know now to somebody else, and I guarantee that it's going to come back that he doesn't owe that money anymore, just because of the way he filed, because he didn't know any better.
I think that's the great thing about where we're at in this day and age. You don't have to be a specialist. You don't have to get a certain degree or certificate or whatever. You can literally read books. You can listen to podcasts. You can YouTube it, watch videos to get enough knowledge to, you know, see the advantages and to navigate appropriately to save yourself as much money as possible. So.
Which,
your brain's going.
first thought right away, I was like, that makes 4-year degrees useless.
Yeah, I think that's the
To an
direction.
extent.
That's the direction we're going.
Yeah.
Like, if everyone has access to information at the tip of their fingers, why? Why? I mean, I get it. Not everyone can sit there and learn and has the motivation to look up all of this stuff. They may not know what they need to learn, but give it another 50, 100 years. I mean, school's always been around, but what it's around for, I think, will change.
Well,
I think
it'll be
there's
less than that, and just the way, like, $1,000 every year. So when I went to school, it was around 10 grand a year, 10 and a half grand a year. And so I've been out of school, or when I first, from day one, it's been 20 years. So
You have to
that was an old person. That was not. She's like, you're old as fuck. But no, at the end, like, now it's $30,000 to go to Muppet.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's not to say like the value wasn't there, but
Yeah, but if you don't need to
if you
spend,
spend $140,000 or $120,000 over the course of 4 years,
yeah, for a piece of paper.
and that's just for your education.
Yeah.
It's not for dorms and not for food and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So it's
I think it's good for certain.
Like doctors, lawyers, like
kind of
if
important.
you're gonna cut my body open, please go to school for a long
Yeah.
time. Really
I mean,
apply it.
Even
At least 7 years.
towards like accounting, like I'm perfectly okay with that still being a 4-year degree to
Yeah.
talk about all the basics of accounting, and then go furthermore into it. Even though you don't have to fully have. Well, I can't say that. I don't know the full way to become an accountant, but I mean, there's a lot that you can then
Lots of
take
exams.
aside. There are lots of exams to take for it. But some of these of going for a liberal studies degree of whatever, I mean, those can definitely become obsolete when you can just go get different certifications that you need in different areas. Like, you don't need a college degree to become a coder. And the one thing that I never understood is, like, even looking at psychology, like, I do think psychology, you need a 4-year degree, especially if you're going to be sitting in a room tinkering with somebody's brain.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, like, I'm sorry, like, why are these filibuster courses? Like, what the hell do I need to take French and German to then become a psychologist? And archery, yeah, underwater basket weaving.
There you go.
Well, what do I need to have those to say, like, oh, I got my 60 credit hours to become a psychologist, and then go that route with it? Like that.
Yeah.
Like, you're just trying to pull money out of someone to say, oh yeah, they did the right amount of learning. Like, no, if they hit all these courses, and that's what it
About a
is.
year and a half.
Yeah.
Versus 4 years.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna say, entrepreneurship though is not for everybody. Like
Oh, no.
school and like going and getting your degree, like that is something everyone has to do. Like a 9-to-5 desk job is like that's what some people want. They want to be able to go to work, clock in, clock out, and then leave work and not have to think about it.
So here's a question for both of you as well, since we're going down this path. Now that we're in this realm of becoming entrepreneurs or working on being an entrepreneur, however you want to define it, how much of, because we all have college degrees, how much of your degree do you actually use now?
Well, I still do, like, I use a good portion of it because it is exercise science. Luckily, we are in the fitness business. But I would say a lot is self-taught, but the basics and foundation of what we coach and preach to our team and like answering their questions. And I think I am a lot further forward in this aspect of my life than I would be if I didn't go to school and literally breathe exercise and the body and how it works and all that stuff.
So if you put a percentage on of how much you use of your degree now, what would it be? And you can even do a twofold answer, like how much did you use in the beginning to how much you use now?
Oh, I used 100% in the very beginning and I'm about 20% now. But that's going from personal trainer to like working with people directly to now being a business owner, entrepreneur. So it is fading away. I would say 100 to like 25.
So yeah, I was drunk most of college. So honestly, the majority of
It's good to lead back in.
this is something that's going to sound a little conceited, but I feel like a lot of what I do now is very intuitive on the fitness side of things. But I think it's because of the constant application and thought processes that go behind it. But yeah, at the beginning, because I went into teaching right away after school, I did that for 4.5 years, and I didn't get into training until probably the last year and a half of teaching. So I probably used, even at that point, it was probably only like 25%.
Right.
Because it was what you learn on the book versus what you actually apply.
Practical application.
There's a big lag between those two. So I would say it was probably 25%. Now, if you think of everything we learned in school was kind of geared towards CSCS. Like it's more the certified strength and conditioning specialist. But I didn't take that certification until 7 years out of school. Set a date to talk on machine the other day, and I set a date, I think it was like 6 or 8 weeks out. I was like, all right, this is the date I'm doing it, I better start studying. And I went back in, and it was kind of a refresher course, just to get the certification. But yeah, to honestly say I'm using the stuff that I learned in school, small, 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't even give it that much. I'd probably do like 5% of what I learned in school is what I can practically apply to what I'm doing now. And then I don't have the same degree you guys do. I just have a good old liberal studies with a capstone course of criminal justice and psychology.
Yeah.
You know, that's nothing with what we really do, but I mean, all the other filibuster type courses is what I kind of use now. I didn't go that far with math just because I didn't like the having to always do it online. It was always through my math lab, and it was just super annoying program to use. And
Your math lab, what?
yeah, it was called My Math Lab. That's literally what it is.
Just one letter. One letter, and it changes the whole story.
But and then even like personal finance at school, like it's not. Doesn't teach you about taxes, doesn't teach you about any of these things that can help it.
Yeah.
Then I got my personal training certificate, and yeah, in the beginning I used a lot of that knowledge, but now with what I do for our companies.
Yeah.
Because really, did you learn much about programming in school?
They went over a little bit, but it was more of like generic, like athlete style.
Yeah.
Like because it was designated towards the CSCS. So my last year in a strength and conditioning course, we went over programming per sport. It was never per like individual or any type of injury related programming. It was just like, what would you do with the basketball team?
Yeah.
Or stuff like that.
Which goes further into our conversation of how a college degree, especially as some of, even in our own industry, probably in other industries as well, to practically applying to what we do now, the degree is
Pointless.
almost pointless. Yeah.
I would say you learn more too by doing. At least that's how I feel. I learned more in my year and a half that I started here than I did 4 years in the classroom. Using all of that when I was at 100% of using what my degree had to taking my CFCS. However many months later, a couple months after I graduated, and I just learned so much in that short amount of time that I didn't see the value in paying thousands and thousands of dollars to sit in a classroom, even if it was more application based. Why would I not just keep working, keep utilizing, the materials I have here, seeking out more information on my own to apply versus sitting in a room.
What was one of the comments you had when we first all three started working together, when you were just coming out of college, about how much you learned now compared to?
I learned more in a year than I learned in my 4 years of school. That was it. Because I said, I'm done with school. I'll go back for my master's later. I was just tired after, 13, 14, 15 years. I don't know how many years you go to school.
And then it ends up being more well-rounded too, because it's not just about the book smarts on this one subject or whatever. Life decisions too.
Yeah, I learned more about taxes. They didn't teach me crap about how to do my taxes. They didn't teach me how to manage my money, how to pay for rent, utilities, have all of these expenses, how to apply to get health insurance. No one taught me that.
So school is basically meant to prepare you for life.
A career at best.
But it gives no life skills.
No life
It teaches you the rat race.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
I'll give you that.
That's what we're, as an entrepreneur, technically trying to get out of. I'm not built for a 9-to-5 job. I just have zero desire, and I've said this.
Nor jail.
Yeah. Since I was 16 years old, I've had no desire to be a regular employee or to have a 9-to-5 job or to sit behind a desk or to do the same thing over and over and over. I wanted the freedom to set my own ceiling, break through that ceiling, and then set another one. I don't like the idea of having technically a boss or someone to dictate what I can and can't do, because I'm just very independent like that. And it's if I have an idea, I want to run with it. I want my opportunities to be limitless, and I'm the only one that puts a limit on myself. No one else can do that for me.
That's fair.
Very headstrong sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's how I feel. But it doesn't mean I can't be in a partnership and have a team and be a very team-oriented person. I'm just very independent and high expectations of myself, and I think that's how I became an entrepreneur. But it's got to be in my blood or my DNA or something, because I've known it for a long time that I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to do X, Y, and Z, and it's just evolved with every opportunity.
I had zero. Nobody in my family are business owners. It was, I'm miserable at what I'm doing, so I had to do something different. And I'd fallen in love with training at that point. So it was do you want to continue to be miserable? The only thing that I had set in my mind on that side of things was, I always said to myself, the minute you wake up in the morning and say, I don't want to go to work, is the day you have to quit. That doesn't mean you just all right, I'm done. I'm not showing up today.
Yeah.
I'll give my 2 weeks notice, or I'll set up a plan as to what my exit process is going to look like. But that was the only rule I had. It was the minute you wake up and you say you don't want to do this anymore, the minute you wake up pissed off, that's the day you have to quit. So I did that with teaching. I went into training full time. I had no idea where it was going to take me. And for me, that's the entrepreneurship side of it.
Yeah.
It's all right, I have this vision of what I think I can do with this. I have a passion that is leading me in this direction. I'm going to follow that passion and see what happens.
Yeah.
But I have no, if you had said to me, what was it, 9-10 years ago when I first did this full time as a profession, that I would end up with 3 business partners and 3 gyms and all of this other madness that we're working on, would never have guessed it. And if you even said to me now, if somebody said to me, you're an entrepreneur, I'm
Yeah.
I'm just following the passion.
Yeah.
And just, whatever is laid out in front of me, I'm gonna tackle that as it comes, and
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah, I think I did from another podcast heard that entrepreneurship is all self-development. Like through your entrepreneurship experience, it's all developing as a person because you go through so many different stages. Like we started as a trainer and now we have 1 team member, 2 team members, now we have a leadership team, and it's all these layers that are compounding, but we're going through all of them and we have to develop and evolve as we go from each one to create the next one. And I would say probably so for you, I mean definitely for me, speaking of myself, that being in positions that make me uncomfortable in the entrepreneurship, the business owner evolution has forced me to evolve as a person in a good way. But it like pushes you into that uncomfortable like thoughts and feelings of, okay, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What person are you gonna be? Like what example do you want to set? And knowing the impact that it has.
Yeah.
Growth is definitely only found in adversity and in the outside of what your comfort zone is. So you have to go just a step outside of that comfort zone, and that's the only way you find it.
First,
Yeah.
step my ass.
Some of these steps we've it's been freaking leaps, like swan dives into something. But either way, you go outside of that comfort zone, you get a little more comfortable with it, and then you step outside the comfort zone again, you get a little more comfortable with it, step outside the comfort zone again, and you just keep going that way. And that's
You
where
look
the
back
growth.
and you're like, where did we come from?
Yeah.
Why was I so afraid of that 10 years ago? Like, what?
Yeah.
That was like the littlest, stupidest thing to be afraid of, but now it's like, okay,
Yeah.
it makes more sense.
You get so caught up though into everything we're doing the day to day, like all the responsibilities that we have, that sometimes I forget to look back and I forget to look at like where we started and everything that we've created and how far we came. So like, I mean, I called you probably 2 weeks ago telling you how terrified I was of some stuff we got in the works. I was like, I'm absolutely terrified. What do I do?
Right.
And you're just like, same thing you've always done. Like you always feel like this. Like we're gonna learn, we're gonna figure it out.
You're always anxious. It's
You're
fine.
always like,
What's
There are
really,
pills for that.
right? I have way more anxiety than the two of you. I feel like.
what's
Or I
really
should.
funny is that like I was the voice of reason in that
Yeah.
section, because I'm normally the one that's, I feel like I'm the high strung one, like trying to like figure out how to balance all the risk and like just keep pushing the envelope. And like I talk to you guys and you calm me down, so like
I
see
did-
it the other way around was super weird.
I did
for me.
preface the conversation before we even started. I said, "This is like not my normal phone call to you, so just hear me out. Let me word vomit it to you, and then you can talk to me afterwards." And then I ended with like, "I'm absolutely terrified and I don't know what to do." And we just went from there.
We never know what to do until we know what to do.
I know, but like I was, buying in and being a business partner with the two of you. Like I was terrified. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just jumped into it and did it anyway.
Yeah.
And I think
I think there's a certain level of self-confidence and faith and
yeah,
trust
yeah,
that it's like, it'll be fine.
yeah.
It'll work out.
Yeah.
Which it always does.
Someone once told me that if you're not your biggest fan, why should I be? So like if I don't believe in myself the most, why should someone else believe in me? And so like I know that no matter what it takes, I will always get it done.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be a good job, but it'll get finished.
And it does
It gets done and it's a good job.
And it doesn't mean that through all this too that self-talk defers to something else. Like depression is definitely very hard for a lot of entrepreneurs, and we all hit it from time to time, and we lean on each other and go from there. So with everybody that's going to listen to this, let it know that the path to being an entrepreneur is a fucking roller coaster with a lot of highs and lows.
No seatbelt.
No seatbelt.
And it doesn't ever stop.
Hang on for dear life and just keep going.
Get on the ride, get off the ride.
It
It's just,
slows down.
unless you just choose not to be an entrepreneur anymore and like go get a regular job, you're on this ride for life.
If you don't actually have like a level of anxiety on some aspect of doing this, then you're probably sitting in your comfort zone and you're not growing.
Yeah.
Or you're a sociopath.
You can get comfortable with knowing that you have that anxiety and knowing like you have that nagging feeling of like, well, did I make the right choice? Did I not make the right choice? type aspect, but it's again growing with that adversity and being outside of your comfort zone that it comes with.
Yeah, it's 100% a mindset thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To where if you are constantly doing things that are uncomfortable, that is your new comfort zone.
Yeah.
Like, it's just what I do. I just do uncomfortable shit. That's it. Plain and simple. Anything that's comfortable is not worth fucking doing.
Yeah, and you get used to that. Like you get used to that level of uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
But then you do something that's really uncomfortable, and you're like, "What the hell am I doing?" And then the anxiety comes.
I don't know. Some of the conversations that we have that are so far above my head that I need 2-step ladders and a wall to even get close to it. And I literally just like the conversation that we had the other day. Like it was like, yeah, well,
Yeah.
Just where we are. We'll see what happens.
That's the thing with this though, is that's kind of again our triangle has always worked well together, because sometimes you guys talk about clinical side of personal training and how the body works and things like that, and I don't have the same level of education as you two, so I'm just like, I got this a little bit above my head, I kind of understand it, I kind of don't, I get it, so keep explaining it, it'll sink in eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we talk about a different aspect of business and finance and everything else, that's kind of how you feel. You're like, what is going on? And then when I randomly talk about, we could probably do this with taxes when we get to this point, we do this and this, and both of you just, what is he talking about?
Slow down and repeat this 5 more times.
But again, it's all different aspects of being an entrepreneur, and we do it as a team. There's a lot of people out there that do it as an individual, so you can see how it might take a little bit longer, but then some of those people then build the team kind of the same way we're doing now, but the three of us have already taken key positions of what we want to do in our sections and running with it.
What are the 3 different types of entrepreneur? There's like, you have the visionary, you have the technician, and then...
Oh, you're talking about the E-Myth Revisited book?
Yeah.
Management?
No,
Technician? Day-to-day.
There's a visionary, technician, and then there's
There's one other. Do you have your phone? I read that one probably 2017 or 18.
Yeah.
That was the first book you ever gave to me and told me to read.
right around when you want.
Operator. Yeah, the day-to-day.
Right around when you wanted to become a partner.
Yeah.
I was like, read this.
Yeah.
Because there's different levels of each of it, and the whole point of it is once you move to the next level, you have to fill the shoes of what you were just doing, and then realize, okay, now you got to perfect those systems you already made, and then you move up to the next level and fill that shoe, and you got to keep going up. And the visionary is the one that always keeps moving and follows where the path is ending up taking it, as long as there's a path going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're definitely a really good book, and I mean that's not the only one. There's the traction books that we're reading as well. They have a different way of explaining it, but it's the same aspect, same concept.
Oh, the EOS, is that what you're referring to? Yeah.
That in the EOS book, it's sort of like, okay, well, you start at the ground up. Here's all the things you need to do, and then now you have people working in this and going forward. And I think at one point I was like, where it's like a tip of the spear, because I went back to military concept, like there's always got to be that person in the middle driving the next thing forward, but you've got the rest of the arrow behind you.
Point forward, right?
Yeah. So it's kind of just going that way with it. So like all these different schools of thoughts in every avenue. So let it be military thought, business thought, entrepreneur thought. There's always commonalities that then link together and drive us forward.
Yeah. Although they say, a lot of people like to say that partnerships in business do not work.
Yeah.
Why do we work so well
We
together?
hear that a lot.
A lot.
A lot.
Especially when you say there's 3 of us, because normally business partners, 2 people, right? And then you throw in a third one, they're like,
Oh shit.
that ain't gonna work.
That's how you make a stool stand. You can't make a stool stand with two legs.
Yeah.
It is the exact same concept of why marriages work or don't work, because you have to work on them to make it work.
Yeah.
And
Open and honest communication.
don't be afraid of failing and being called out on those failures so you can learn more on them.
Mhm.
Be vulnerable,
Vulnerable.
humble. I mean, we all came from, or I think we're all pretty good team players, but I think that's a part of it.
Yeah.
And just being open to self-development and the things that we all do.
That does bring up a point that we had a conversation about a long time ago, back when we revamped the first location, is that there's commonalities on our childhood that come together with this on many different aspects. So a lot of the people that we end up really like working with is a background of they did team sports growing up.
Mhm.
If there was any individualized sports where it was me, I the whole time, we haven't worked well with them.
No.
Those people have all left.
Yeah, they weed themselves out, for sure.
So there's something to be said about growing up doing team sports and working with others and liking to rely on your teammate, let it be baseball to football, both the American and
The real one.
the real one. I mean, even with, because of, my background was swimming and, did play soccer, we call it here in the States, just so you know.
All right.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Or baseball, there's still commonalities that even with it being a little bit of an individualized sport, there's still a lot of team aspect to it on, team points and relays and everything like that, that it all came together as if you work well with a team growing up, then it's easier to do these things.
Yeah.
You were also a Marine.
Yeah, I was
too.
gonna say.
Okay. A big part of that was, I was talking about team sports though. That's
a team sport.
Marine.
Yeah.
Being a Marine has nothing to do about sports.
It is.
No, but at the team,
It has that team
aspect, yes.
And like all the things that come with it, I feel like are very in line with the same qualities and characteristics that sports give to people.
Swear I thought you forgot you were a Marine there.
No, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was talking about, one thing, talking about team sports, like growing up in childhood. I'm not allowed to be under the age of, 17 to...
You're still growing up at 17.
Yeah.
Right, that's true.
We went on to play college sports though, so like when you were,
Fighting the war.
fighting the war, we were still doing the whole team.
Thinking
The
about it.
real military aspect of life in the Marine Corps.
But aside from all of that though, I think personality wise, like we all gel well together, but our strengths and weaknesses go together like a puzzle piece. And I think that's what makes the bigger picture work so well. Even if we disagree and we fight it out, we're yelling at each other, not speaking to each other, like crying, whatever it is, scratching, bleeding, like I feel like we've been through a lot. But being able to see why we work so well together and then work through our differences. Just being open and honest, communication, vulnerable.
Even with learning how to communicate with each other.
Yeah, working on it.
Doing the, it wasn't until probably 2 years ago we actually put full stock into it, were the DISC assessments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm actually learning personality types and how to communicate with each personality type. Was definitely a big part of it. And then when you look back on it and understand now how to talk to each individual that way, you can look back on previous conversations and wondering and actually know why those conversations went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think I would definitely say we work on our relationships, not just between the three of us, but our team and all of that just as hard as we work on our business. And we work on ourselves just as hard as we work on our business.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
We work on ourselves hardest first, because if we're not the best version of ourselves, then we cannot.
Well, we work on ourselves to work on us
Each
as a
other.
group.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
To work on the business.
That has that domino effect.
Yeah.
It's a big part of it. So there's a lot of key takeaways for that with being an entrepreneur. Because of that. So knowing how to communicate with people, I have a hair in my mouth, sorry. Knowing how to communicate with people, self-development, learning on not only ourselves, but our team as well. And then how to run a business and what we want to do inside that business and how to have that business grow to what we want it to be. And without all that working a little bit at a time each one, it's not like full force work on this one, full force work on that one. It's just a little tick on each one. That's how you need to do the path. And if you don't work on all those, you're gonna fail. You're gonna lose the team. You're always gonna be working day to day. You're gonna lose money because you're not paying attention to overspending on taxes or overspending on systems or underspending on person or whatnot. So really just, it all comes together by working on all of it.
So if you guys were to say, if somebody was listening to this and go, how would I know if I'm an entrepreneur? How would I know if this is for me? What would you guys say?
Are you happy with where your life's at right now?
No.
That's what I would say. Are you happy with where your career is? Are you happy with who you are as a person? I would start there. I would start with learning their personality, depending on who it is.
That, and then add in a 30-day test. So could you step away from the company that you built for 30 days?
And before you've even built the company, starting off.
They got the 9-to-5 desk job.
That's a hard one.
For me, it'd be what is your passion? What is it that floats your boat? What gets you up in the morning, or what would? And I think a lot of people recognize that what they're currently doing is not. It's not the most fun thing in the world, and it doesn't blow up their balloon.
And it's okay to not know. Like, don't be afraid of not knowing. Lean into that fear and just go look. Because there's so many opportunities out there. It's not even funny. But a lot of people think that they're stuck in their specific job or they're stuck in what they're doing. There's no way out because of the fear of not knowing. So if you can recognize that fear, lean into that fear, get outside your comfort zone and learn, go out and seek, learn something new, then you'll be great. I mean, there's like freaking 11-year-olds out there making like $1 million because of like, they decided that they're just going to start opening up new toys, making reviews, and putting it on YouTube, and then boom, they became a star because of it.
But it starts off as, like, because you guys jumped in this full time. Like, you quit a full-time job and jumped in full-time and had to work to build it up. You came straight from college, full-time job. I came in as, I was a full-time teaching, part-time coaching, and then quit teaching. So I didn't start with a zero client docket. So like, if you have a passion, what I would say is, if you have a passion, try to start off doing a part-time and see if it's something that you truly are passionate about. Unless you recognize that you're either, one, so miserable that you can't do what you're currently doing, or two, you have a way to dip your toes in. To find a way.
There's a thought process too. It was in the back of my mind, I knew I could do it better. So what I was working at, there was just different systems that just weren't working that great, but everybody was stuck in their ways and not doing it. So I would go and like, okay, well, if we did it this way, we'd all have it do things a little bit better. Like, even when it came to the type of scheduling that we were doing, because I was a 911 dispatcher for a private company at that time, and there was 3 shifts and a swing shift, and the swing shift bounced through all of them. But then I went ahead and showed them 4 different ways on how to redo the schedule. So not only did we not have to work a 5-day week, we work a 4-day week, always have a 3-day weekend, and not have to jump through all the different shifts and do it better. And nobody wanted to change. Like, we can literally set these things up to do better, and there was 4 different ways. So you could pick which way and which path ended up being better, and nobody wanted to change.
This is how we've always done it.
We've always done that. Yeah. But so a lot of like, being in those positions, like, okay, here's a system, here's a way it could be better, like always wanting to make the system better, then developed into like, well, if nobody else is going to do it because they just don't want to do it that way, then I'm just going to go off and work with somebody that wants to and make the systems better. And that's all we've done is just, oh, we don't have a system, let's make a system. That system's okay working. Yeah, it's not that great, let's make it better. Now it's better, but it's still not that great. Let's make it better again.
So what you're saying is have a growth mindset and recognize that things can always shift and be better, can be finagled to work more efficiently.
Mm-hmm. And every time somebody comes in, and don't be, every time somebody comes into the team, don't be afraid of their ideas either, because their idea is an outside, unbiased look that can then also make your system better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Humility.
I don't know.
Have humility before you get humiliated.
Yes. Whoa. Process that.
That's like the same as saying assume. Like, don't assume whether you're going to make an ass out of me, and you and me.
No, I think that it works both ways. It can be either be humiliated in order to become humble, or become humble before you become humiliated.
Let's go.
It's not bad.
I'm gonna write that down.
Okay, write that one down.
Can we get somebody to take notes on?
Yeah.
We might have somebody that can take notes.
I don't remember that one.
Who are you looking at?
Don't have to look, no.
So what would you say?
I don't know, because I'm a very all or nothing person. My mom would maybe call me impulsive. She actually told me, she's like, Paige, we were talking about the truck. When I went and test drove it, I think it scared her. She's like, don't make an impulsive decision. I'm like, well, this is not impulsive, I've been thinking it out. But I'm an all or nothing person, and I'm willing to take big risks, not necessarily knowing everything. The 40-70 rule, I would say I'm never close to 70%. But if
Okay, explain the 40-70 rule for the listeners.
Okay, you have to know at least 40% of the information. 30 or 40? I think you said 30% the other day.
I don't know, it was a Colin Powell thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's 40%.
Either way, 40 to 70 is still fine.
Yeah, you want to know at least 40% of the information and then no more than 70%. So if you have gone over the 70%, you've waited too long. And if you're under the 40%, you don't know enough. But I would say if I feel like I'm anywhere near that 40% at least, I will like make the decision, because I feel like I have to do stuff to learn. Like I'm very learn by experience. I'm not like I can only read and like listen to so
You can
many things. Yeah, before I actually have to apply the thing to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
So I jump in like head first sometimes. So I would say just like do it. And if you're uncomfortable and you're scared, then you're probably feeling the right feelings. And as long as you believe in yourself, then you shouldn't be too worried.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And sometimes it does take a push from somebody else too.
Yeah. I would say if your old job is like holding you back, like if you know you could do better at the one thing you want to do, then to cut the other one and let it go. Like if you know that you can do this, instead of easing your way into it and financially you can make it work, like, you know, it's a plausible thing, cut the ties, jump in, do it head first, and commit to yourself.
And when you say financially being able to do it, understand that when you jump from one thing to the next, financially you're going to take a hit.
Oh yeah.
You know, you might make less of a monthly salary or less of an hourly or less of something to then build it up to make more.
Yeah.
So if you can make it financially work, think about the bare minimum of what you have to pay for and then literally get close to that. Get close. It doesn't even mean that you're going to make all of it, but that drive is going to help you make all of it.
Yeah, I didn't have that. So teaching, making a specific amount of money, part-time training, making a specific amount of money. Colleen wasn't working. We just had Porrick, so we had a 4-year-old and a 5-month-old. Had zero idea where the money was coming from, but I was like, all right, this is hustle mode. Switch, like flip the switch and let's go. And it was balls to the wall, proverbial and literal. Get it done. And so there was a number that I knew I had to hit, and I did everything in my power to get to that number as quickly as possible. And because Colleen backed me up and said, "Look, you're miserable. You're making me miserable. Quit the job. Do what you have fun doing." So I did that, and it's amazing when you love to do what you're doing. how quickly you can progress and succeed.
I also think though, look at it as you're taking a hit up front, like you're going through some hard times, but entrepreneurship is a long-term game. So the first year, 2 years, 3 years, 4, I don't know yet, still learning. It's like a rubber band.
First 11 years.
It's pulling you back to shoot you forward to experience like opportunities and things that you never once thought you could reach. Like whatever my ceiling is right now, I know will not be my ceiling in 5 years.
Right. I mean, I can't even tell you how many different webinars or podcasts I've sat there and listened to people telling potential business owners or entrepreneurs, like, once you have at least 6 months of money saved up to where you can pay for your monthly bills for 6 months, so that you know that you're going to lose money in the beginning to then finally break even and make money. Once you have 6 months of your monthly bills built up, then some of you even said have a year of savings before you do it. And I'm over here like, F you guys. No, like if you have that drive and you're able to be like, okay, even if it's a side hustle, doing it just part-time and then moving into full-time, or it's just jump in, both feet, head in a ball, twisting, whatever, going right into it, and you have the drive, just like you said, I'm going to make this much money and I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a no-fail attitude with the humility to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Military terms, we're going to win the war. We might lose this battle, but we're going to win the war.
Yeah.
So it's the same aspect. So I don't agree with the whole you have to have this much money before you become an entrepreneur. Like, no, you can go ahead, and if there's a way, do it.
Yeah.
If there's a will, there's a way.
Yep.
Just call me Billy.
Yeah. Well, my first year of entrepreneurship was. So if you want to talk about not making money and losing, what do we lose, like 30 to 35% of our income?
First hit in the first 6 months was 52% of
52%.
what our monthly income was, and then we curtailed it. We brought it to where we were only losing 37% for the entire year. But it was right. Was it right before 2019? It was.
We started.
Like that last quarter of 2018. It was October.
I remember having the conversation with you on
Going into 2020.
Yeah, it was. So
Yeah.
the official contract date was January 2020, but
There
we
you go.
kind of took the money, well, the check and all that stuff happened.
Yeah.
End of October, beginning of November.
So yeah, we started talking about it right then for you to be a partner, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
the next quarter. Oh, by the way, the world's shutting down.
Not only
Just
was
for 2
I
weeks,
in
though.
fear
Yeah, it's
of
2 weeks.
yeah,
You're fine.
not even I was in fear of like, oh my gosh, is there going to be a business after this for me to even be a business owner? But two, I just injected all of this money. Like, money is flying out the door at this point. We're losing income, and I was absolutely terrified.
And what did we do? We all hunkered down in our zones of genius,
Yep.
and we made it work.
Yep.
I kept working on grants and
Took risks.
PVPs and all that other jazz on the background, and you guys kept working on the front end, and
Yeah.
I kept helping as much as I could on the front of things while stopping any hemorrhaging that we had on the back end, and it was just friggin' mental.
It
And
was
then
tremendous.
tens of thousands of dollars of debt that I've just invested into this business for the doors to be closed for 3 months, income to almost come to a complete halt. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what did I do?
But we made it work,
Though I did.
and we grew it back, and 2 years later we are brought that specific company back to breaking even and profitable again.
Clouds have parted.
Mm-hmm.
The sun is shining.
Yeah.
Angels are singing,
I was-
playing harps and stuff.
Yeah, in the darkest pits of all darkest pits, at the very beginning of my entrepreneurial experience, and I would say I'm out of it.
Yeah.
I may have lost a couple
Good to go.
years of my life, got some anxiety, high functioning anxiety, but,
It's good for you.
it's all
Builds
good.
character.
Yeah, it made me grow as a person.
Builds character.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Very
the job.
true.
Yeah. But I would say, if there's anyone listening that is diehard fan of themselves think you want to make this jump, reach out. There may or may not be opportunities like for us to work with you, but also like just to have someone to bounce things off of and to talk to, and to have someone who went through this experience and had it work out great. We've had great opportunities, we've had great, business dealings, and then we've had not so good ones. So,
like I said to our coaches, and I don't know how many times, try to learn from our mistakes. So you don't have to go through the same stuff we went through.
Yeah.
That's the same with anybody that might be thinking about delving into this way of life.
Yeah.
Which it is a way of life.
I'd say.
But learn from our mistakes, reach out, ask questions.
No, it's definitely one of those that it consumes a good chunk of your life, but once you get the foundation taken care of, then the rest kind of eases off just a wee bit. But I mean, if it ends up being that you guys listening want help figuring that out, you can reach out. Or if there's an opportunity, like Paige was saying, reach out.
Yeah. The least we could do is help. Talk it out. We're service people-oriented people. So whether that's financially helping out, whether that's just talking to Mike, therapy session, Yeah.
And if we don't know,
Can't take my
we
time.
normally if we don't know, we find out.
Yeah, we have a good
We know
network.
somebody
of
that
people.
knows somebody that knows somebody that knows.
Yeah.
Right.
So entrepreneurship in a
In a really large nutshell.
I was gonna say in a pea pod.
There you go.
In a triangle.
Yeah.
Alright, I think we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you for listening.
Good talk,
folks.
Bye.